And this is Gladstone's land, a name to signify a tenement building. And this is on the Royal Mile. And a little bit of nostalgia out here, but perhaps these arches are valid. And we'll go back inside and see if we can see it from the courtyard. So I'm thinking that it's this rough old looking building that is the land building, the tenement. And this is St. Giles Church, who is the patron saint of Edinburgh, but I think also of Scotland. This is called a cathedral, although it's always historically been called a kirk. Kirk meaning a church. And this is now a church, and has for a long time been a church of the Presbyterian. Normally their churches are very plain, but this one is not. The tradition of the British always seems to be such a curiosity to we Americans, and certainly to me. I mean, I understand it, but I still find it a curious anachronism. Probably such pageantry and tradition can be justified in that it is the glue, if you will, or the mortar that ties together the peoples of a nation or a culture at its time and over time. It's interesting that St. Giles Cathedral also supports a cafe. Whether it's subletted or owned, I don't know. And this statue of Hume, for what horrible reason, was committed to eons of being in this weather almost naked. Now this is a monument apparently to Sir Francis Scott. However, as you can see there, the name is much more elongated without the Sir. Looks like Mather Francis Montague Douglas Scott, 5th Duke of something or other, and 7th Duke of something or else. I think it has now begun to rain again. I wonder if those panels depict scenes of what he wrote or scenes in his life. Now if we look closely here, we'll see some different kinds of bricks, 4-paneled little bricks. And they form the outline of a building that was the building that was formerly used for paying of taxes. But it wasn't the paying of taxes to the Scottish government, and it wasn't the paying of taxes at all to the Scottish government that angered the Scots, but that here they had to pay the British the taxes, and they despise that. I forget what the lineage of this heart is, but the current status of it is that Scots will spit on it as a way of demonstrating their disdain for Britain, so that when those people here who walk across it unknowingly, they do not know what they do. This is the oldest lead statue in England, or in Scotland, and it's of the restoration of Charles II, who I think was restored after Oliver either died or relinquished his command of the English government. This building was once at the center of the old town, to our right, maybe 30 meters or so. It was used for collecting taxes, I believe, and other kinds of events, but most notably, at least in gory history, when you committed a crime of thievery, let's say, as an example, you were taken to that door there, and you were literally nailed to it through your ear with a spike. You had two choices then. You could either stay there for the next 24 hours, or you could choose to pull it out. If you pulled your head away from there, you had not only torn up your ear, if not leaving most of it on that door, but you had also created a badge that said you are not only a thief, but a coward, because you had not the courage to stay there for 24 hours. Now, having said that, if you chose to stay for 24 hours, this is what would happen to you. People, during the 24 hours, would come and throw all kinds of rotten stuff at you, including their rotten eggs, food, etc., etc. Little kids would come up and kick your shins, and you couldn't do a thing about it without ripping out your ear. And then the last, greatest, profound ignominy was the people would go home and get their toilet pots, bring them down here and empty them over your head. Now, I assume that the degree of such actions that were thrust upon you depended upon the dimension of your crime, but I don't know. Anyway, that's the history. I don't know what these different crests are for.